40, being attracted or alleged to be 40, I actually think Brigitte's older than that, is attracted to a 14-year-old boy. That's disgusting. It's perverted. No matter what, this is an incredibly perverted story, which centers around individuals who happen to surround themselves with other perverts.
On the Candace Owens channel, everything changed when Brigitte Macron, the First Lady of France, filed a bombshell lawsuit igniting a global scandal. As Candace unleashes receipts, she peels back layers of shocking secrets, calling out political elites and PR cover-ups. The legal drama, moral outrage, and high-profile accusations will leave viewers questioning what's really happening behind closed doors.
It's a reality. You cannot look away from that. And then, of course, right about the time that President Donald Trump personally called me and told me that Emmanuel Macron asked him to order me to just stop talking about his wife's penis, then the world knew something was going on here, because that's not normal. That is completely not normal for a sitting president to get on a plane, to come over and visit another sitting president, discuss Ukraine and Russia, negotiations for world peace, and then to take him to the side and say, hey, so do you know Candace Owens, this podcaster? Yeah. That was the moment where the world went, it's over, pack it up, go home. There's clearly something here. So Brigitte is now pivoting strategies. That's what's happening here. I told you already that they went to market in America to hire a crisis PR team on American soil. Again, a sitting president of a foreign country trying to hire a crisis PR team in America, that's not normal. And it is more than likely, and I'm surmising here, that crisis PR team was the one that gave them this advice. After they lost against Amandine Roy, Natasha Ray, they probably said, file another lawsuit. We know you can't win that lawsuit, but it doesn't matter. We just need you to file the lawsuit for the sake of press, so that you can, again, say to people, oh, well, it's not true because, look, I'm suing Candace Owens. If you need any more evidence that Brigitte Macron is definitely a man, it is just what is happening right now. The idea that you would file this lawsuit is all of the proof that you need, okay? I have been in communication with their lawyers, or via our lawyers, like their lawyers and my lawyers have been speaking, phone calls, emails since January. She's now named her law firm. I protected that, but now we can tell you it's Claire Locke, okay? Claire Locke is representing Brigitte, and Emmanuel Macron has been in communication with us for months, and yet they did not send us a copy of the lawsuit. They did not give my lawyer a heads up that they were filing a lawsuit, but they did instead opt to give this lawsuit ahead of time to the Financial Times, the New York Times, CBS News.
This isn't just a PR move, it's a calculated media blitz. Candace is exposing how the Macrons want control of the story before even alerting her legal team.
What does that tell you? It's a PR strategy. They don't care if they win. This is about running it through the press. And how much PR are we talking here? Claire Locke, Tom Locke, or Tom Claire, whatever his name is, they actually uploaded the lawsuit to their website, and then they gave CBS News a link to the uploaded lawsuit before I had been served, before my lawyer was even informed about it. I found out with all of you. I found out with the world. I found out from the Financial Times that I was being sued by the first couple of France. Not normal, guys. And even in the Financial Times, this is what's really funny, despite getting the exclusive on this story, and they must have gotten it yesterday, by the way, they definitely had to have received it at least yesterday, maybe even before then, because I think 3 people worked on the article. So this is not like they were breaking news. It was quite a long article. But even the Financial Times, despite getting the exclusive, they're kind of stating the obvious in the piece. They're like, yeah, this is a pretty steep mountain to scale. This has kind of never been done in the history of the world. Not sure what's up here. Specifically, the article reads, quote, "The suit is a rare case of a serving world leader personally suing an online influencer over their content." It goes on to read, "The Macrons face a high legal bar since U.S. defamation laws require public figures to show actual malice, meaning the person knew the information was false or had a reckless disregard for the truth."
Candace spotlights the legal uphill battle Macron faces, suggesting this lawsuit is more about headlines than true justice.
Making matters even more hilarious is the preschool principal that they have established here as the basis for their lawsuit. This is a quote from their lawyer. given to the Financial Times. It reads, quote, Owens has dissected their appearance, their marriage, their friends, their family, and their personal history, twisting it all into a grotesque narrative designed to inflame and degrade, the Macron said in their filing. The result is relentless bullying on a worldwide scale. Okay, so my first question is, how old are you? Are you 5 years old? Really? This is bullying is what you're coming at me with, which, by the way, is exactly what they're coming at Xavier Poussard with, which I should mention now. Xavier Poussard is not being sued for defamation. He's the one that wrote the book that I based my entire report on. They're not suing him for defamation. No. They're going, you're a bully. We're going to sue you. And then we're going to launch this lawsuit against Candace in the United States, not against you as a French citizen, because we know we can't win this, but it doesn't matter because courts take a long time to establish that. And in the meantime, we can just say, finally, that we're suing her. Secondly, the audacity for Brigitte Macron to call me a bully. When we just watched Brigitte physically assault her husband on the world stage, you pummeled him. You beat him. You're the bully. You're over here. Oh, I don't like Candace's words. You whooped your husband in front of the entire world on a plane. You're the bully. You're the bully, Brigitte. And you've been bullying him, I would bet, since he was 14 years old. I think you've been grooming him. And that's the worst kind of bullying in my viewpoint. By the way, I want to read you this from their lawsuit because I obviously have not had time to read all of this, right? The Financial Times reported that the lawsuit also says that their filing includes a description of the circumstances in which they met. The president was a 15-year-old student at a Jesuit high school in Amiens when he first encountered Brigitte, then a 39-year-old married teacher with 3 children.
This is the emotional flashpoint. Candace dismantles the official narrative, zeroing in on the contradictions and casting doubt on the entire story.
So much of that is not true. Again, they're trying to say he's 15, he was 14. According to the filings, they, quote, formed a deeper intellectual connection when she directed a production of the 1971 Milan Kundera play, Jack and His Master, in which Macron played the lead role. And later, the two began meeting regularly to collaborate on another play. Their relationship, quote, remained within the bounds of the law, the filings say. But when the teenager's parents found out about his, quote, strong feelings for his teacher, they moved him to a different school. Before he left, he told her, whatever you do, I will marry you. Dude, you're such a creep. Like, the fact that you're stating this as a defense, and you're not even telling the truth here, okay? Because you can't ignore the facts of how old he was when he was in that play. You just can't. So happy to go through this in court. But do you realize how creepy you are? How creepy this sounds? His parents then took him away because I'm disgusting, right? Because I'm a creep. Because I had power over this student and tried to seduce him, not because I looked like Claudia Schiffer, because I'm just like a creepy old man. Like, that's what happened here. And you stating this is like, oh, it's so disgusting. Anyways, you have to also appreciate that their lawyer told the Financial Times that they're willing to fly to the United States for this lawsuit, right? They are willing to commute to the United States, to Delaware courts, where they filed this. But they were unwilling, for some reason, to allow us to fly to France to interview Brigitte, which we offered to do before we started the series. They were also unwilling to simply answer our yes or no questions that we emailed to them so that we could ascertain facts. We did all of this before we aired the first episode, which makes the opening lines of their lawsuit especially egregious. It's just the audacious, it's like the audacity of the lies that Claire Locke is now telling. This is what they write in their opening complaint. This is Claire Locke, ready? Can you pull up the opening lines where they say that we didn't allow them? Yeah. It says, in March of 2024, Candace, a right-wing podcaster, told the world that she would stake her entire professional reputation on the fact that Brigitte Macron is, in fact, a man, and then goes on to say, rather than engaging with President and Mrs. Macron's attempts to set the record straight, Owens mocked them and used them as additional fodder for her frenzied fan base. Okay, that's very interesting. So now we can just go ahead and show you when they contacted us. Actually, what they said was, she does not have to answer your questions about whether or not she is and always has been a woman. And we went back and told them, no, actually you do. And here are some more questions, and we're willing to sit down for an interview. I actually went into my computer today, found that letter we sent to them and typed in the word interview to see how many times we mentioned the prospect of flying out to interview them. Again, we sent this letter to them before we ran the first episode of the show. So this was in early January. Let's pull up what we wrote here. Second, my lawyer tells them, your insistence that Mrs. Macron outright refuses to provide evidence of her gender alone creates significant reason to doubt her counsel-filtered denials. As such, Candace is interested in having Mrs. Macron comment on this controversy, and, as detailed below, Candace now extends Mrs. Macron a full opportunity to rebut the allegations at issue here. Should Mrs. Macron decline this opportunity, that fact, too, precludes a claim of actual malice. Okay, we can go on here. Elsewhere in this letter in which we wrote back to them, we wrote here, you state, because they did, that Mrs. Macron, and we quoted them here, does not owe Candace proof that she is and always has been a woman. But you are wrong for several reasons, and your statement on the matter, which we consider to be admissible evidence, precludes your claim of actual malice by itself. Elsewhere, in that exact same letter, as my lawyer just completely obliterated all their arguments, we included a subheading that says, questions for a fair and balanced interview. You guys remember this? These are the famous questions they declined to answer. And you can see I was searching the word interview, which is why it's highlighted in yellow here. It says, as such, we offer any date and time during the months of January, February, and March of 2025. For an interview between Candace and your clients. Candace, her producer, and a videographer will fly to Europe and arrange for a translator and studio in which the Macrons can answer questions. As you know, the first remedy for a defamation plaintiff is mitigation by, quote, using available opportunities to contradict the lie or correct the error and thereby to minimize its adverse impact on reputation. We then listed the questions. To facilitate this interview, we offer the following questions in advance, okay? We then list all of our questions, very simple questions. Did Brigitte Macron ever use the name Veronique? As an example, number 5, can you identify each child in the Amiens family photograph? Did Brigitte Macron physically give birth to 3 children? I don't know. If I'm trying to avoid being defamed, I would very happily reply, yes, Candace Owens, I physically gave birth to 4 children. Okay, elsewhere, we can show you this, how we wrapped up this letter. Here are more of the questions, which you guys are welcome to pause and read in your own time. And then we can show you how we ended it. We urge you to respond to this letter on or before January 23rd, 2025, so we can make arrangements to schedule an interview with the Macrons. We reserve all our clients' rights, claims, and remedies. This letter does not contain a full recitation of the facts underlying this matter. They did not reply to our answers. They did not tell us, yes, we'd like to interview or rebut things and say. They basically just said, she doesn't owe you anything. She's always been a woman. That's not how this works, okay? That's not how this works. You could have easily provided evidence or answered simple yes or no questions, which we would have said was an actual statement coming from you, but you've refused to do that in this context, just like you refused to do it overseas. It's why they overturned the defamation claim that you were holding on to, hoping that this would somehow prove that you weren't born a man, something that is so easy to debunk. Hi, where are the first 30 years of your life? Where are the photos of you raising Tefan? There should be so much. You say you have 3 kids. Did you take no photos of you having those kids the first day you held those kids? What about pictures from your wedding day? Tons of pictures from your wedding day. You've only shown that one, which was filtered through by Mimi Marchand, who we're going to talk about in a second. I want to be very clear. It is so obvious what you are doing, okay? You went to the Financial Times as opposed to contacting my lawyer, who you've had contact with. You went to the Financial Times because you're trying to appeal to a very specific type of person, a certain class of people that you have to face now who now know that you have a penis, okay? That's beyond obvious. Even in your filing, the filing actually reads this, and I quote, as a result of the false and defamatory accusations and implications published by the defendants, the Macrons' relationships with other members of the government, potential political allies, and others have been undermined as a result of the false and defamatory. Like, you are Also stating here that Macron's integrity and fitness as political and governmental leaders has been undermined. That's exactly what this is all about. It's about you not wanting to stand across from Kate Middleton, having her glance down quickly and, give a knowing look to William. That's what it is. You're embarrassed. You are embarrassed. And so you want to save face by being like, well, we sued her. Yeah, we know we can't win. We know it is literally an impossible mountain to scale. We know she very clearly has presented a lot of evidence that I'm a man. That's why the whole world believes you're a man. Okay. People didn't watch this series. If what I was saying was ridiculous, okay, this wouldn't have gone viral. It wouldn't have gone viral. It would have been so beyond what anybody could plausibly imagine could be true. They would have said that was weird. I don't know why Candace did 5 hours on this. Instead, we converted people into believers of this story because there was that much evidence to the contrary. While you produced no evidence and won't answer questions, we produced 5 hours of evidence alongside the reporting of Xavier Poussard, okay? So what you are trying to do with this lawsuit, it's, again, very obvious, is you're trying to defame me. That's why this lawsuit is littered with factual inaccuracies. It's got all of these points that have nothing to do with the substance of what you're even coming after me for. You're trying to delegitimize the reporting by smearing my character. A catastrophic, by the way, PR strategy, which is dressed up as a lawsuit, okay? It's incredible. If you read through this, guys.
Candace Owens unleashes her most explosive segment yet as the global spotlight lands on the lawsuit launched by Brigitte Macron. From media manipulation to hidden evidence, Candace meticulously breaks down bombshells, legal strategy, and the power struggle gripping the French elite. She isn't backing down. Instead, she issues a rallying call to her audience: follow the facts, demand transparency, and stay tuned for the next jaw-dropping update. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share for the truth behind the headlines.